Hi, I'm Bill Carmody and I'm the Marketing Whisperer. And today I am so excited to introduce all of you to Subir Chowdhury, who has written one of the most amazing books out there. I mean, I'm telling you, if you read just one book this year, this is the book to read. The difference, why when good enough is not good enough, right? And one of the things that Subir is so incredible is a storyteller. He was done a tremendous work. If you know him probably from Six Sigma. But this was actually one of the very first business books that ever actually made me cry. So Subir, you did an amazing job both telling your stories and coming up with an incredible formula that I think anyone can implement. So welcome to the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate your kind words.
Well, and it's not just me. This book right now is already a bestseller on USA Today and in India, correct?
Yes, yes.
I'm honored to have you at this program. I'm telling you, I've had great conversations with Malcolm Gladwell, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, even Siri Lindley is a three-time world champion in triathlon. But today's conversation, I've been so excited for since the day we booked this time. And the reason is because you're one of the most authentic, humble individuals that I've ever actually read about. I mean, really, when you come through on these pages talking about what you do and why you do it, it is just absolutely awe-inspiring. So thank you again. This is amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So why don't we start with wherever, I think just a little background in terms of why you wrote the book and some of the key principles. I really would love to be able to get into the STAR principle and talk about sort of how that came to be and give some background around that. Is that okay?
Yeah, that'll be wonderful. So let me tell you why I wrote The Difference. I think this is my 15th book. And the main reason I wrote this difference is that I've been, as you know, that as you mentioned also, that I've been doing process improvement consulting for last 20 years. And I literally saved billions of dollars to lots of companies, like large corporations, especially the Fortune 100 companies. And then, around 5-6 years back, I hit a wall. And what I mean by I hit a wall is basically one of my companies, suppose there's a two same size companies of the same industry, like GM and Ford, for an example, or maybe Boeing and Airbus, right? And both of them, for the sake of discussion, suppose both client is using my process, Six Sigma process, or using me as a consultant. They hired me, both consulting, both companies hired me as a consultant. Why one company is getting 5x return and another company is getting 100x return? Mm-hmm. And that puzzled me. And the reason it puzzled me is because I was thinking that, okay, initially I thought that maybe I'm a bad consultant, maybe my process is flawed, maybe you're not teaching properly, right? That was my initial reaction. Then after that, after a lot of discussion with my colleagues, what we did, we went out and I have been talking to all these different companies and trying to understand what their cultures are. And what we find at the end of the day, it is not about the process, it's about the people. So, because I've been doing this process improvement, I'm not a people expert. I kind of thought that if it is the right process is there, it doesn't matter. You can still deliver the results.
And let me interrupt you there. We just saw with all the kerfuffles that's been going on with United that you can have the best process in the world, but if your people don't have empathy, if your people are not trained to think about the needs of your customer, it goes sideways really quick. Because basically you can have the greatest process in the world, but if you stop being human, even for a minute, it's going to destroy the brand and the company and the culture and everything else. It all goes to crashing down very quickly, right?
You are absolutely right. And that is one of the reasons I kind of felt that maybe, and once we studied it, what we find out is that the companies which are getting only 5x return or 10x return, majority of the people doesn't have a caring mindset. I call it as a caring mindset.
Yes.
On the other hand, the companies which are getting the 100x return, majority of the people from the bottom to the top has something called caring mindset, right?
Yes.
So then the question comes to what is caring mindset? See, I kind of strongly feel that any human being at any position can make a difference.
Yes.
Right? And you don't need a financial, success, or you don't need a big stripe. It is about the mindset. If you have the mindset, very honest with you, I have some friends, they are super rich, right? Billionaires, right? Versus I have some friends who are assembly line worker in GM or Ford, right? But let me tell you, if you ask me the question right now, I rather have a beer with my assembly line friend worker, right? Rather than a billionaire. Why is that? The reason is that because some of these guys might be a good person, good human being. They deeply care, right? And I think that is so important and that's what we are missing in our culture. I think last 20 years it's kind of degrading in America. And
I
that thing
totally
bothers.
agree, and I think one of the things that's such a challenge is when people take a caring mindset. You know, they're really focused on the outcome. They care about the person authentically. You know, they want to make sure that the person gets what they need. Anything they can do to improve the opportunity that's right in front of them, they take that on. And the challenge is when people don't care and they're just quote unquote doing my job, and they basically this sort of couple the idea of who they serve with the work that they do, you know, it shows in everything that's happening. I mean, one of the most brilliant stories I love in your book talks about the idea of the discarded toothpick. And to me, that's such a great analogy. Will you please share that? I think people would love to hear what that's about.
Yeah, basically, you know, one of my client invited me. You know, I supposed to spend the whole day with them in one of the Fortune 500 client, and the JD Power report came out just day before, and then suddenly, you know, and I went to his office in the 8 in the morning, and it was literally a big winter storm on that day, and as soon as I walked in, he looked at me and he said. I said, "Hey, how are you? How are you doing?" And he was kind of very, very anxious look, completely down look. And he looked at me and he said, "Subir, what do you do? What would you do after you use a toothpick?" So initially, I just thought, "What the heck? What kind of question
What's
is
this coming from?
So I kind of, it just off guarded me, and I just thought, I said, "Hey, what kind of question is that? Who, you know?" So I just completely brushed it off. And he looked at me and said, "Subir, I asked you a question. Please answer me the question." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Subir, look, what would you do after you use a toothpick?" I said, "You really wanted to know the answer?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Obviously, if I use it, then I put it in the dustbin." He said, "Subir, I asked the same question to my secretary. I asked the question to all my direct reports. Everybody told me they do the same thing. And here I am in the 6 in the morning. I had a meeting with my boss, with the CEO. And as soon as I walk out of the meeting, and he was very upset, obviously, with the JD Power report or whatever. And then I found a toothpick on the floor. And so I said, I said, what would you do? You know, and he said, I pick up the toothpick and throw it in the dustbin. So I said, so what is the big deal? He said, it's a big deal. He said, Subir, we have been investing millions of dollars with your consulting service and everything in Six Sigma and all this, and we save billions of dollars, but I don't think we have lots of toothpicks in all of our departments.
Right.
Because if somebody doesn't matter who the person is, it can be an executive level or a lower level employee. Even if they're man, they throw a toothpick on the floor in my company. That tells me they don't have the caring mindset. They don't, and very honestly, one of the beauty about being a consultant, always I learn from my customer, right? The whole idea came literally emerged from my customer, right? So when he said that, so I said, he said, Subir, trust me, you go to any of our department, we cannot change the people's mindset of quality, we cannot achieve quality. That is the reason our JD Power report coming so poorly. And I'm very honest with you, this United incident you mentioned about, it is the issue. I face a lot of problems with United. Even like one time I was in United, and they did the flight attendant didn't even ask me what I want. I was in a first class cabin, yes. And they didn't even ask me what food I want, right? They have a different choice. So they serve randomly to different people. Then when I asked him, I said, hey, look, you didn't even ask me. He said, I don't need to ask you. I said, why? He said, because we have the fish only for the people who are like a frequent flyer, and you are not in that category. So even though you're in first class, we don't need to ask. I said, look, unfortunately, I don't eat. Unfortunately, I don't eat beef. So I told him, I said, I don't eat beef. So it doesn't matter. You can deny. That is the way he reacted in a first class cabin. And I paid $1,700 for a ticket. So at that time, I kind of felt that it is a matter of time. They will pay the price.
You know,
Now,
I got a little sidebar story here for you. So the opposite is also true. And one of the things I love about your caring mindset is I was on a United flight and there was a huge delay because basically the plane we were supposed to be on, it was supposed to be the personal service. They had all kinds of mechanical issues. So they transferred out the personal service flight, which has all the cool technology, Wi-Fi, everything. And they transferred it for an old, 1980s like plane, right? And the minute I walked onto the plane, the steward, the main head steward, was sitting there rolling his eyes going, "This is going to be a terrible flight." And I stopped him and I said, "Hold on. It's only going to be a terrible flight if that's the attitude you bring to the flight. Let me explain
you're
something."
absolutely right. So
At the end of the day, you just swapped out an older plane and you're going to get every single person to San Francisco safely, right? Yes. He goes, so anyone that comes up and complains about not having technology or Wi-Fi, you come send them to me. I'm on 7C. Come send them my way, and I promise you, I will change their attitude. Because the truth of the matter is that if you go into this flight thinking it's going to be terrible, it will be for everybody. But if you change it right now and think about the positive aspect of, hey, we're getting everybody safely, and there's where we're going to be. I mean, it totally shifted his mindset. And that flight could have been really a hellish flight, and it turned out very positive because he took a positive attitude, and anybody else that was complaining, we sort of nipped it in the bud together and just talked about sort of what we were doing here. And that's, to me, a caring mindset. It's like, I can't change the plane, but what I can do is I can make sure that everybody sort of keeps the right perspective. Yeah, it sucks you don't have Wi-Fi, but it's not the end of the world.
That positive mindset, Bill, what you're talking about, it is contagious, right? It is contagious. And the point is, did anybody tell you to do what you did?
No,
they didn't, right? The question is that why can't each of the employee at any level bring that positivity in the organization they work for? It can be a government. Look at it. Look at the Congress. Look at the Congress. Why United States is now suffering? Because both political parties they're continuously fighting each other and blaming each other rather than thinking, no, we work for America. We work for American people. What can I do to bring the positivity when I go to Congress? They don't have that.
This is the whole thing. And to me, that's the brilliance of your book, right? So I really, really love the fact that good enough is no longer good enough. This idea of, whatever happens, happens. It's all fine. It's all good. It's all, that attitude is destroying companies, and it's destroying sort of the edge that we've created as a country, to your point about the United States. Because, if you think about even just going back to the founding of our country, the Puritans cared. You know what I mean? The people that landed here were like, no, we want to make a difference. We want to have a better government. We want to have more religious tolerance and freedom. We want all these things that we don't have. And so we want to basically work hard to get there. And if you think about it, whether it's government, whether it's companies, if everybody has that attitude, we will be better.
Yes. And that is the same thing about my own self. I came in this country with went to 1991 to a $200 loan and begging to give me a $200 loan, and bank declined, in 1991. And here I am, right? I'm still tremendously optimistic about America, right? And so in the book I talked about, then the question comes to, Subir, can I really develop caring mindset?
Yes.
And my answer is yes, right? So I talk about the 4 human attributes, right? Anybody can do, and which I talked about the STAR acronym, right? And it stands for straightforward.
Yep.
T is for thoughtful.
Yep.
And A is for accountable.
Yep.
And R is for resolve, right? So straightforward, thoughtful, accountable, resolve, right? So let's talk about straightforward.
Please.
I think in America, majority of the company, based on my own experience working with all these different companies, I see almost 90% of the company doesn't have that straightforward culture.
That's right.
In fact, if you have become too straightforward, you might be demoted or fired.
Well, and that simply put, it's because nobody wants to own the problem. So the reason, the reason you won't get ahead if you're straightforward in most cultures is because you're calling a spade a spade. You're going out there on a limb to say there's a problem here, and you know what? I want to do something about it. That's the whole point about being straightforward. Is the first thing you must do is acknowledge reality, and most businesses don't want to acknowledge reality. They'd much rather live in that little bubble. Everything's great. everything's
You're right.
perfect. It's been this way for 100 years. It'll be this way 100 years from now. Everything's great. And that's just not true. So
Right.
being straightforward is acknowledge where you're at. These are the
Yes.
things we need to improve upon. If there's toothpicks next to the bin and not in the bin, we have a problem. That's being straightforward.
Yes, but the other thing is that I think is also that the honesty is not rewarded, and that is the problem. A lot of the time and if it is not rewarded, then what happens is that people has a tendency to hide the information. Think about the Volkswagen. Volkswagen is one of the major, like automotive companies came up with lots of phenomenal innovation, right? One of the German icon and the global icon, a lot of the innovation of automotive came from Volkswagen, right? And they became number one company in the world for a time being, right? Even bigger sales than GM and all. Now, here they have the best processes in place. And what happened to them? Suddenly, 2 years ago, they hide the information. They thought that they are not going to,
They'll never get caught.
Nobody's going to catch them, right? They deliberately, they put the software to trick the government on the emission data. And ultimately, they got caught because they felt, hey, we can do this. Americans, investigators, whatever, the government cannot figure it out. So we'll enjoy the ride. And they enjoy the ride for 2 or 3 years. Ultimately, they got caught. Now, one executive is already in jail, and then they already paid like tens and billions of dollars of fine.
That's right.
Think about that, right? So the real issue is that, and very honestly, Cornell University did a study, $300 billion.
Amazing.
$300 billion of the white collar crime, it cost American organization, white collar crime, okay? So I really question, what is the purpose of education? If we really become a dishonest individual, what is the purpose of education in the first place, right? So I think, and I talk about in the book a story about an executive, the Nick, that, when his days is numbered, then he become honest. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And at that time, he want the forgiveness from his employees, right? So I strongly feel that, unless we become honest to each other, right? Even at some of the principle about a straightforwardness, practice at home, practice at community, right? It's not only in the workplace, right? Then the next point I talk about the thoughtfulness, right?
Yes.
Thoughtfulness is about. I'm not suggesting everybody to become Mother Teresa. That is not my intent, right? That is not the intent. Thoughtful is much more like, think about what can you do to every individual you deal with every single day. When I wake up, every single day when I wake up, and I was brushing my teeth, and I'm looking at in the mirror my own face, I ask only one question: what is the one thing I can do to another human being? What is the one thing I can do to another human being to make a difference?
One human. And I got to tell you, that's such a great question to ask yourself, because the opportunity to make a difference is all around you. Yes. I think it's whether it's appreciation of your family, your wife, your kids, those things, whether it's just acknowledging, like LA Fitness, I go to this gym every single day, and there's a guy who always is happy and greeting and whatnot. And it's like, 4:30 in the morning, and he's like the happiest guy you've ever met. I stopped, because of your book, it reminded me as I was going in there, I stopped and I said, listen, I just want to say thank you. You are always very positive. You're always congratulating people that are coming in. You're, even when it's raining outside, like today, he's like, you made it in, good job. There's a positive reinforcement. I said, you start off my workout so positively because you bring that positive energy. And I just want to acknowledge and thank you for doing that. Now, did that cost me anything?
What you did, Bill, even saying him thank you, you made his day.
I did.
You gave some positivity to him, right?
And that's just it. I fed off his energy and I just fed it back to him. And I said, listen, thank you. And the thing is, how many people can we thank over a course of a day, but yet we don't? And that's my point, is that basically a simple acknowledgement, a simple saying, hey, you went above and beyond. You did something awesome and I want to acknowledge you. That is thoughtfulness. It doesn't have to be saving the world like Mother Teresa. The simplest things have that butterfly effect. A little bit goes a long way, Long way, yes. So I was like, this is a funny story that one of my client, chief operating officer of a Fortune 500 company, I gave him a manuscript of the difference. After finishing the manuscript, I gave it to him. Yeah. After he read the manuscript,
He invited me in his office for an hour, spend an hour time with me. And he said, Subir, I had such a profound impact on this book and blah, blah, blah. So I sat with him. So he said, I wanted to spend a little bit more time with you to see some of the things I'm practicing, the star and all this. So I said, okay, before you do that, I have some couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
So he said, oh, sure. So I said, did you recently take any time off for a vacation? And he said, I did. He said, why you ask? I said, no, I'm just generally asking because you're a workaholic, you work too hard. And every time I come in, I kind of feel that you're always working. I don't know. I know you for the last 5 years. I didn't know that, you take any time off. So I'm just wondering because you need some time off, Right. So he said, believe it or not, Subir, I got a time off 2 weeks ago and I had a blast. I said, talk about your vacation. So instead of spending 2 minutes time to talk about his vacation, what he did, he has spent almost non-stop for 15 minutes talking to me about his vacation.
Wow.
So he had a blast, right? And I'm happy for him, right? I'm happy for him. Then I asked the question. I said, hey, I have a question for you. I said, I asked you a simple question. How is your vacation? And share with me. And you gave me non-stop for 15 minutes and positive energy about your vacation. That is good for you. Fantastic. But let me ask you a question. When you shared this story with your direct reports, how their reaction was? He gave me a blind look. He said, Subir, what are you talking about?
I wouldn't share the story.
He said, I didn't talk about my vacation story with my direct reports. Did anybody tell you about it? I said, what do you mean you didn't share with your people? So I asked him, I said, let me ask you this. If you die today, I'm in Los Angeles and you're in Detroit, and if you I came to know that you died, and do you think that I'll show up in your funeral? What do you think? I asked him. He looked at me and he said, maybe the answer belonged to you. I said, how about this? If I die, are you going to show in my funeral? I asked him. He said, to be straightforward, I may not, because if I have another corporate assignment, I may not. I said, do you know what? I appreciate your honesty. I will do the same way. I may not show up in your funeral either. But let me ask you this. The people who are direct report to you, do you think that they will show up in your funeral? And he said, yes. Uh-huh. I said, now you are spending time with me, sharing your vacation, giving me the positive energy for 15 minutes. And when I asked you, did you share with your colleagues? Your answer was, oh, Subir, that is not our culture. I said, you are the chief operating officer. You change the culture.
You are the culture. You can make the culture whatever you want. Absolutely.
Exactly. I said, look, you go to them and you put your hand and you said, hey, let me share with you about what I've done in my vacation. Then be human. I said, look, that's what you did with me. So what is that? He said, Subir, that'll be a very difficult thing to do. I said, why? He said, because I'm the chief operating officer. I said, so? I said, when you're drop dead, nobody cares you are a chief operating officer. Right? And he had a profound impact. And after that, what he had done for last 6 months, he is trying to reach out as many people and trying to talk to them and trying to become like a human. See, I think once we achieve our success to a level, we tend to have a tendency not to just to be, kind of a solo, living in a small room,
right,
in the corporate life and create the distance. I think the most brilliant leaders I dealt with, they are very humanistic person. They just go out, they deeply care for somebody else. I rather wanted people to just go in and say, hey, everything is okay? Is there anything I can do for you? The other question, the third element of the star is called the accountable,
yes,
right? I think that a lot of the time, and I really wanted to give you a quote by Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa said, do not wait for leaders, do it alone.
Right.
Do not wait for leaders, do it alone. What she meant by that is, if you see a problem, don't think about, hey, it's not my problem. If your paycheck is coming from the company, you try your level best if you can give a hand, even if it's a hand to your colleagues, right? Mm-hmm. You try to do something. Accountability is individual business. Unless you feel problem belong to me, it will be very difficult to make a contribution.
Any problem. To me, one of the challenges with the word accountability is that I think it's been appropriated by this sort of top-down management style, and it's been used the wrong way. Instead of
Yes.
being accountable in terms of empowerment, it's almost like a blame game. I hold
Yes.
you
Yes.
accountable, right?
Right.
You did this mistake, you tried and you failed, and so I'm holding you accountable. And that's the opposite of what accountability really means. True
Yes.
accountability is self-imposed. To your point,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
my father taught me at a very early age, if you want to be successful in life, find a hole and fill it. Find a
Yes.
gap and fill the gap. If you do
Yes.
that, you will always be successful because everybody wants you around. My best question that I ask everybody that I come in contact with is, how can I help you? Because the
Yes.
truth of the matter is, I
Yes.
may not know.
Yes.
But
Yes.
just asking a simple question, how can I help you? How can I serve you?
Okay.
What can I do? Immediately they
That's
unload on you because nobody ever asked them that question. Like, oh my God,
exactly.
my personal branding sucks. Can you help me with that? Or, oh my God, I have this problem at home, or I have this problem over here. Everybody has challenges. And if you're
Everybody
the
has
person who is authentic and real and asks the question, how can I help? You are holding yourself accountable to the person in front of you to make sure that you're making their life better. You're creating a difference. And I love it. Awesome.
In the accountability, even when a lot of the, after the book even came out, when I was talking to a lot of individuals in art level, they're also asking, saying, Subir, a lot of the time I see a problem, I think I can, but I don't think I'm the right fit to solve the problem. So I just asked them, I said, let me give you an example. I said, a 13-year-old girl from Chicago, Illinois, her name is Trisha Prabhu. I talked in the book about it, Trisha Prabhu. And she was coming from the school and she got the news that a 11-year-old Florida girl committed suicide because of the cyberbullying.
Yep.
So what Trisha did, Trisha said, enough is enough. Why my age group is committing suicide for cyberbullying? What can I do? Forget about all the adults, forget about all my teachers, forget about my parents, because enough is enough, because they all give me all these slides. Nobody's solving the problem. I'm going to solve this problem.
Yes.
What she did, long story short, she came up with an app called Rethink. It's called Rethink. And the funny thing is that what the Rethink does, if you have that app, typically the teenage brain, the way it operates, if you give them a chance when they're doing something instantly, and if you stop them and say, are you sure you want to send this message?
Exactly.
It might harm somebody, right? Your message is very offensive. It might harm somebody. Are you sure you wanted to send them? Immediately, their other side of the brain clicked in, and they immediately stopped. 93% of the people who use the Rethink, they stop not putting the harmful messages.
And the thing about it is 13 years old, right? If it's easy to say at 13, well, somebody else has to solve that problem. It's not my thing. And to your point in the book, I thought it was brilliant. The average 13-year-old, what they're going to do at best is say, I hate cyberbullying, and do a Facebook post, right?
Exactly.
What does that do? That does
Right.
nothing. And it's like all you're doing is acknowledging the problem. So I guess at least you're being straightforward. Great, perfect.
Yes.
But that ability to basically be accountable to yourself and others and say, you know what, it doesn't have to be someone else's problem. Let me take this on. I didn't start cyberbullying. I'm not a fan of it. I've never done it myself. But if I can help my peers so that they don't commit suicide, then I've added tremendous value to the world. And she has at 13 years old. That's amazing.
13 years. That is amazing, yes. So, I think if you really wanted to have the attitude of making yourself, if you have the personal responsibility of saying that every problem is my problem and what can I do? What can I do, right? See, then you can make a difference. That is the whole point. The last point is about the resolve. Yes. Resolve is the, R. I think, that is the R of the star, right? Yeah. I think on the resolve is all about the determination and to having the passion and to make a difference, whatever you are doing. So think about, when I came in August of 1991 in the US, like my professor told me, Subir, come 3 weeks early, like 2 weeks early. So there is a chance that you might work with us. And this is the first time from my 14th generation or from my whole generation from both my parents' side. Yep. I was the first person coming to US.
Amazing.
No, I didn't even have my parents' side, any of my parents' side, any relatives, nobody. I'm the first one coming to the US, right? and landed in America. I went to the professor's office and he said, hey, Subir, unfortunately, on the first day, he looked at me and he said, hey, unfortunately, the scholarship is given to another American citizen. I'm sorry. I said, sorry, you cannot do that. You told me to come 2 weeks early.
That's right.
I came 3 weeks early. And then I was crying. I gave my engineering certificate to him. Nope, decision is made. Now, then I met with some of the students, other students, international students. They tried to calm me down. Some of them told me to go to illegally work. And I said, nope, I don't want to be illegal. I graduated from one of the top schools in India.
Yes.
So ultimately, what I did, I said, you know what? I believe in America. The reason I came to America, because it is America.
Right.
Everybody told me, Subir, you go to America, you will become a global citizen. Go to America. You can contribute globally.
Yes.
So I said, if that is the belief I came to America, okay, I got my first day taste is very bad, but that is not America. So let me try. So what I did, I went to department after department. I went to 23 departments. Amazing. And every department I go there, and some of them I was humiliated. I was thrown out. Think about this. I went to an English department, landing in America on the first day. Okay, I still have a very thick accent, and going to English department and saying I can make a difference for English department, right? How I can be a graduate student, how I can help the undergraduate student and teach English. And they're appalled. Ultimately, what happened is a 23rd department is mathematics department. Professor sat with me, and long story short, I end up with getting a Dow Chemical Fellowship, which paid my whole education, right? 23 department, right? So within 2 weeks, I solved my problem. So again, the question is that if you have the determination and everything I've done, in fact, in my book, I talked about my grandfather used to give me a pen and a coin and said, should we choose one of the pen or the coin? When I was 5 years old, right? A coin or a pen. And every time I choose a coin, he said, Subir, never choose a coin. Always choose the pen. I said, why, grandfather? He said, Subir, pen is the creation. So anything you do, so when you are reading a book, at that time there's no computer, right? When you're reading a book, it is written by a pen. So if it is written by a pen, you as a reader, if you like the book, you write to the author. If you don't like the book, you also write to the author. I said, Grandpa, if they don't reply to me, because I'm nobody, I was only 6 years old, 7 years old. He said, if they don't reply, write them again. I said, Grandpa, if I write 100 letters, he said, and they don't reply, what should I do? He said, write 101st letter. Right. I said, Grandpa, you are telling, he said, Subir, always remember, any human being is reachable. Question is, do you want to reach them? How badly you wanted to reach them.
That's right.
Right? So guess what happened? By the time I was 12 years old, I became friend with all the top laureates, poets, movie actor, movie actress, all the different, like film director, because I wrote them the letter.
That's right.
So by the time I was 12, I developed all my leadership skill by hanging around with all these successful people. So when I came to America, it was a piece of cake. Literally, it was a piece of cake because I developed all these skills by the time I was 12, 13 years old. So when I was writing all those, even my books or whatever, I reach out to anybody I want. Like one of my book was distributed to every member of the Congress, right? So it is the determination. It is the what you really wanted to do, The other thing I think also is important, I didn't talk about this story in the book. My grandfather also told me about, he used to ask me, what is the most powerful number? Is it number 9 or 0? He used to ask me. So every time I said 9, he said, nope, the most powerful number is 0. I said, really? He said, Subir, 0 on its own doesn't have any value. But as soon as you put the 0 beside 9, it becomes 90. Right? So he told me, he said, always remember, when you become successful, you are 0. You are nobody. Right? Nobody. And the reason you become somebody because other human being made you to 90. Because without those people, suppose nobody is around you, you are on your own room, you are not a successful guy. Success is defined by the others. So what you should do, you always think about yourself 0 and try to help other people because they are the reason you became successful because they are the one who brings 9. You are always 0. Think about that. Think about the humbleness he was teaching me, right?
I love your grandfather. I think he's got some of the most incredible wisdom. And I got to tell you, my friend Tony Rodriguez, a good friend of mine, he has this little positive chat group that he set up on phone. And every day he sends a positive message, and I just absolutely love it. And the one that he just sent yesterday was just absolute definition for me of resolve. And what it said was, remember that every tree is basically just a nut that didn't give up.
Exactly, you're right. Absolutely, yes. Yes.
And to me,
Yes.
that's exactly what resolve is all about, is because
Yes.
basically, you might seem crazy. People might call
Yes.
you nuts. People like, you
Yes.
can't do it that way. It's not possible,
Yes.
whatever. You just don't give up. I mean, here's the thing.
Exactly.
2 years ago, I had gone to my very first Tony Robbins event, right? And I had this amazing experience, totally transformational, changed my life. I just kept going, and I kept writing about the experiences that I had in Inc. magazine and sort of, sharing all this stuff. 2 years later, I'm literally standing next to the man as he presses the bell for the NASDAQ exchange. And everyone's like, how the hell did that happen? How is that even possible? Because of resolve. I knew that I wanted to basically just get connected to that man. And he's, this guy's hugely famous. Everybody wants to be part of this guy who's been in this network. And he did the same. The difference between me and everybody else is like your grandfather's 102nd letter. Just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. And because I had resolve, I wanted to just add more and more value. And your point about the zero is also correct. I'm not here because I have an ego and I'm looking to basically, look, I got to know Tony Robbins. No, the fact is, I know that his message needs to get out into the world, and I've been able to be that zero next to his 10 million. You know what I mean? So now it's beyond 100 million, right? It's fantastic.
Even Bill, look, you're interviewing me, but what is happening is that even the positive energy you gave me, even the thing I learned from you, from your stories, right? I appreciate it. It means something. So I wanted to, anytime you come to Los Angeles, let me know. I'd love to take you for lunch. Yeah,
I would be honored.
I'd love to take you for lunch, So you let me know. I'd love to. And the reason is that because we learned each other, right?
Yes.
Life is all about learning.
Yes.
Every day when I wake up, I feel I'm nobody. I'm nothing. I'm zero, right? So as soon as that happened, so even if you come back and say you're the dumbest guy in the room, I said, that's great.
Yes.
Right?
Teach me.
Because then I can learn, right?
See, and to me, that's the whole Zen mind, beginner mind mindset, right? It's like if you are a pitcher that is full, you can take nothing in, right? If you're a pitcher that is empty, you're constantly learning from everybody around you. You're sucking in all their knowledge, all their insights, and then you're figuring out how you take massive action and apply them. The thing I love about your STAR model is when you think about it, if you're straightforward, if you're thoughtful, if you are accountable to yourself and others, and you have resolve, there's nothing you can't do. But more importantly, that caring mindset, it's like throwing a rock in the lake. It's got a ripple effect. Everybody you touch, you're making their lives better. And what do? They go turn around and do it to somebody else, and they make their lives better. You're just sort of putting in positivity in a way that the world really needs right now. And so I honor you for really putting this together, not just by telling your stories humbly, not just by sharing your insights from your grandfather's wisdom and what you've learned along the way, but by creating a model that anyone can follow. See, the STAR model is simplistic and profound in its simplicity. See, the thing is that when you think about things, that's simple. Those 4 things, no problem. It's all easy to understand. It's a different thing to live it. And the minute you embrace the STAR model and you live it, you have a caring mindset. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. But the more you do it, the more it becomes natural. And the more you just add massive value to everybody you touch. And that is I appreciate.
That is the reason that I kind of ask also a very simple question. So every day when you wake up, you just say, okay, what is the one thing I can do to another human being?
That's right.
That's it. Another human being, right? And that's it. Then you yourself put in the perspective and you do it for 2 weeks. On the 3rd week, you'll think, oh my God, it's hard. What can I do? Then your credibility kicks in, right? The other thing is that every time when I go to my bed, I kind of felt, okay, because I sleep very deep sleep, right? Because when I go sleep, the reason I have a deep sleep, because I try my level best to lead an honest life.
That's right.
When you lead an honest life, you don't have any baggage, nothing, right? Even, very honestly, even in my consulting business, the reason I was known for, I speak my mind. I tell the client what the client doesn't want to hear. And some of the time I was kicked out. I was literally kicked out from the client. But
And that's
6 months
okay.
later, yeah, that's okay. 6 months later, they call me back because they remember Subir told us the truth.
That's right.
Even though the truth is very, very hard to accept, but he told us the truth, right?
Yep.
I think in life, if you have that attitude of you wanted to live an honest life, you wanted to live a simplistic life, you wanted to be humble, you can make, you're born to make a difference for other people. You have those type of principle, life would be good. And
Yes.
it would be, and then rest of the steps will follow. Very honestly, my grandfather said, never focus on coin. And coin followed. I'm very honest with you. Coin
It's
followed.
true.
Like I was meeting with, I recently developed some interest last 5 years ago on the art collection, art. Now I'm talking to some of the world's top artists, and it's again the resolve, right? I kind of feel resolve, and I put my mind into it. And now I'm getting invitation to talk about being an engineer, why you became an art collector. Can you come in and share your story? Think about it, right? So now some of the art collectors are thinking, I'm one of the top collectors, and how they can get my, think about it. Isn't it amazing?
I got to tell you, I love your stories. And I've lived some parallels to what you've just described. I started writing for Inc. magazine, not because I'm a journalist, but because I love sharing other people's stories. That's the thing.
Right.
Like the whole idea of being able to take somebody who's got some really interesting insight and share that with the world was appealing to me. I mean, I've been in digital marketing for 23 years, right? My career is about sort of connections and understanding storytelling and putting that together. But I thought, what an amazing opportunity to really share these great, amazing opportunities and stories. But what the funny thing happened on the way to doing that, that authentic sharing approach got noticed, right? After 250 articles, I became on the top short list of all these PR agencies. Everybody wants to connect me. And now here's what's amazing. I get to meet people like you. I get to talk to people that I would have never, ever had an opportunity to talk to were it not for me just continuing to add massive value everywhere I saw. So it's like, why did I get to interview Tony Robbins? Why did I get to talk to Malcolm Gladwell? Why do I have any business having talks to these people? It's because they know that it's real, that it's authentic, that I am a zero standing next to their 9 every time. I'm not trying to be me. I'm trying to help them with their story and how they're putting value into the world. And that has paid massive dividends. Now I get to go to conferences for free as media. Amazing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Amazing.
So you think about this stuff,
right.
and all it was a simple desire to add value. That's all it was. And it was authentic.
So the thing is that, Bill, you are even practicing a star without even reading the star. You know what I'm saying?
That's
because
right.
It has it. That is one of the reasons I wrote, you don't have to wake up and say, okay, today I'm going to do S, tomorrow I'm going to do T. No. It is basically every day. Like even if you ask me, Subir, how you rate yourself in a star, I think I might be giving myself 5 or 6 in each category.
Sure.
I will not give 9 or 10 because I'm a human being. I'm not.
You're gonna make mistakes.
I'm not a saint.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly.
Amazing.
So I think in America, if majority of irrespective of the organizations, like either non-profit or for-profit or government, doesn't matter who they are.
I agree.
If each individual as a citizen that feel that, hey, do you know what? I really wanted to practice some of this principle. I wanted to lead a honest life. I wanted to be straightforward to others. I wanted to be thoughtful to others, right? I wanted to feel myself accountable. I wanted to make a difference for others. And then I wanted to resolve whatever I wanted to achieve. I'm very honest with you. You will do whatever it is. You
That's
can.
Right.
Like I was living in Michigan when I moved in Los Angeles. I did some experiment in some kind of a high-end real estate. That is not my business. I'm a management consultant. Now it became such a big side business for me on real estate, because what happened, I used my principle. Suddenly I fell in love with it, and then it generated. And again, I'm continuously evolving and using the star principle in all facets of life, and life is so good.
That's right.
And I'm really enjoying to the fullest, So
listen, Subir, I want to say thank you. Your book, I'm not kidding when I say this. This book will change people's lives. And I honor you for taking the time to read this. Now, I understand this was a labor of love. This is something you passionate. You had to get it out there because you had all this reason to do so. But here's the thing, that simplistic star formula will easily help people think different about every opportunity in front of them. It's not the difference, it's your difference, right? It's the individual who reads the the book. What is the difference you can make in the world? Because if you
Yes.
just stop worrying about good enough and say, no, 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 I know that this good enough isn't good enough. I can make a difference. I'm going to make a difference. I'm committed. I have resolve to make a difference. If that's all that people get out of this book, they're going to have a happier life. They're going to have greater surroundings around them, and amazing opportunities are going to happen. I promise you that. This is the one, if you read one book this year, you should get a life and read more books. But if you only read one book this year, this is the one, The Difference. Subir, amazing. I so appreciate your time on the program today. You're incredible.
Thank you
I
so
can't
much.
wait to meet you in person. I will be in LA in the next couple of months. I promise you I will reach out and we'll get together. I'd love it.
Oh, that'll be wonderful. Okay, that is a fantastic. Thank you so much.